I'm DJ Moon,
I'm DJ Sam I Am, and you're listening to Headmaster's Corner,
a weekly student-run show on all things SAS. From interviews with our head of school, Carl Scholin, to faculty spotlights to sports and art features,
Headmaster's Corner brings you the lowdown on everything in the SAS and Sewanee community in a short, fun, informational format.
If you missed last week's Headmaster's Corner, check out our YouTube at The Voice of the Mountain, where we live stream these episodes.
For more information, head to our website, sasradio.org.
And now, it's time for Headmaster's Corner.
Hello, I'm DJ Sam I Am, and unfortunately I am not joined here with DJ Moon, but it's alright. I'm still going to be doing a faculty spotlight. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So, could you start by introducing yourself and telling us what subject or area you're teaching at St. Andrews?
Yes. Hey, everybody. I am Margo Cloniger, or Miss Margo for my students, and I teach global literature for 10th graders and dystopian literature for 11th and 12th graders.
So what brought you to the Sewanee Mountain, or our school in particular?
To the school in particular? Well, first to the mountain. I was actually almost born up here on the plateau. I spent every summer of my life up in Monteagle with my grandparents. So that was my introduction to the plateau. And then St. Andrews, my very first time coming to St. Andrews was through Shake Rag. So I worked for Shake Rag for 2 summers before bringing my children here. So, and then ultimately it was my children coming to school here that brought me here. So my son last year, and then my 2 other children this year.
So what first inspired you to go into teaching?
Well, I love teenagers. I love children in general. And I love reading, and I love talking about reading. So those 3 things combine to make a really good intersection of education. And also I have a pretty robust writing practice. So that brings me to want to share that with others.
So how would you describe your ideal teaching style and or classroom environment?
Ooh, great question. I think that's always changing. So my most important thing that I'm trying to do is to be aware and observe my students and what they might want to be doing. I think if it were just me, my ideal would be on the rock down at the res, looking out at the water, but also am learning to work within a classroom and how to bring alternative things into the classroom setting, but also trying to get outside as much as possible.
So elaborate on these alternative things you mentioned.
Yeah. Well, I just, when my kids were growing up, I homeschooled my 3 children, and we had to take attendance every day and record our attendance. But it was a little bit flexible in what counted as time for learning. So I had a little phrase that I used to say that was, if you're awake, you're learning, and if you're asleep, you're processing. And both are equally as important to the expanding of our knowledge and of our brains. So that's the first thing, is just to be cognizant of the fact that whether we're reading a book or we're writing or we're talking in discussion or we're in a classroom or we're just observing and taking in the world around us, ultimately we're learning something. So wanting to be aware of that, and then the need to process, but also just encouraging risks, because another thing that I used to say when my kids were little was that climbing trees makes you a better reader, and people would look at me funny and say, like, what do you mean? And I would say, well, it takes a lot of concentration to climb a tree. It takes some bravery to climb high up in a tree. It takes taking a risk, and all of those same things apply to when you look at a page full of words and you need to read them and decipher what they say and what they mean to you. So slowly but surely, I'm just trying to incorporate some of those kinds of things into the classroom that allow us to look at a reading from all different aspects, like if we're reading a book, looking at it through a poem and a song and maybe a movie, through a project, through a discussion. So trying to bring in many different areas of what we're talking about, or visiting an art show over at the university campus, or listening to a music performance either on our campus or at the university campus. All of those things I think apply even to a math class.
So which classes are you most excited to teach this year?
Well, because I'm only teaching 2, I'm just equally as excited about both of them. The dystopian class has some really fun books that we get to read and some very pertinent themes in them. And so it's fun for me to go to class. Sometimes I feel like I just say one prompt and then the class just grabs onto it and talks the rest of the class, and that's really exciting for me. But I'm also excited by the challenges of trying to make it relevant to my students.
So what is a club or something that you're not involved with yet here, but you would like to get involved with in the future?
Another great question. Some things that I'm looking forward to being part of are helping with the literary magazine. So I think that's in the spring semester. So I'm really looking forward to encouraging people to submit things for the literary magazine, but also just helping to compile it. I don't know how to do anything with the computer or graphics of those kinds of things, but would love to just encourage people to share their writing and their art. I'm also very excited about potentially helping with the fiber peak because I'm a fiber artist and want to share that with students as well. And then I have one other exciting or hope, kind of like creative expressions, but wanting to do more of a spoken word kind of sharing of all of the beautiful writing that our students do.
So when you're not teaching, what is your favorite thing to spend your time doing on campus?
Oh, on campus. Okay. Well, I love going down to the res. So that's probably my top. Swimming at the res is probably my top. One of my other favorite things, because I live on campus now, is to go out at night when all the stars are out. So I love that. And then one of my biggest passions is weaving. And so I have my loom up in my apartment, and it's the thing that centers me and brings me back to myself, and also gives me ideas. So weaving is what I choose to do in my downtime. If I have an expanse of it.
So how has your experience been with getting to know the students and the faculty here?
The best. It's such a fun community to be part of. I love knowing everybody's names and saying hi to everybody, greeting them in the mornings, and I've definitely felt welcomed by both the students and my colleagues and just the staff at school. I just love knowing about everybody and hearing about their personal stories about how they came here, and then also just being around if there's something hard going on too.
Now, before you worked here, what other jobs have you had in the past?
Lots. Probably my biggest job is being a mother, raising my 3 children. But then also I spend a lot of time, weaving. Weaving is a big one, and I sell tea towels that I weave, and then wall hangings as well. And then I also do a lot of work with people at the end of their life. So it's called a death doula, and a lot of people don't even know what that is or have heard of it. But mostly I've spent many years being close to people or families who are helping a person at the end of their life.
So what's something that your students don't know about you and would be surprised to learn?
I don't know, because I do lots of silly things, and I let them know, but maybe, I don't know if they'd be surprised, but I do know how to milk a cow and a goat. That seems like a kind of interesting thing about me.
Yeah, I guess so.
My husband's a farmer, so.
So our last question, where can listeners find you on campus if they want to stop by and say hello?
Okay, my classroom, room 14, at the end of the middle school wing. I'm always welcome you there. I also love Ramsey's Rest and then the Rock at the Res. So those are probably the places where I am the most on campus. And I welcome you anytime.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us at the station.
Yeah, thank you so much, Rain. This is awesome.
Hopefully we'll get to see you again in here sometime.
Okay, great.
Thanks for listening to Headmaster's Corner.
Broadcasted live every Thursday.
If you're just tuning in and missed the episode, check out our YouTube channel at The Voice of the Mountain.
And if you want to find out more info about us, head to sasradio.org.